I know I've talked recently in my videos about amnesty, public charge going away, travel bans, and more being lifted, as well as increased visa numbers, approvals for DACA, and great news for Cubans, Venezuelans, and asylum seekers in the past couple of weeks. In today's video, I'm going to tie all of that together and explain what it will mean for you and on your immigration journey in 2021. Let me introduce myself. As I said, I'm Mejer. I'm an immigrant and an immigration attorney. One of the reasons I became an immigration attorney is because my immigrant journey was not stress-free and was not easy. I came to the US without being able to speak English. My family paid an attorney to get us legal status, and that attorney didn't do that. We lived for years without legal status. We were able to get legal status through Amnesty. So I truly know how exciting that sounds for many today. And after I went to law school, I decided the best way to help people was to make it so they had the stress-free, easy immigration journey I wish my family had. If you need help with your immigration matter, call us. We can't and won't help everyone who calls us, but we also won't take your money if we can't help you. If you find this video informative, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video. What 5 things do I think will be big changes to US immigration in 2021? I want to add a caveat here. At the beginning of 2020, we did not know COVID would hit the world so hard. We still do not know how it will continue to impact all our lives in the future. Most scientists are saying that we may need to continue to wear masks and socially distance through mid-2022 or longer as strains change and the world gets vaccinated. That means that people will still be getting sick and dying, and that will impact courts, USCIS, and other government offices. But what I do think will improve for immigrants and the US immigration 2021 is the following 5 things. But just keep in mind, Trump signed over 400 executive actions to stop immigration to the US. The number of immigrant visas granted in the beginning of 2020 dropped by 46%. Before COVID hit, green card applications had already fallen by 17% during the Trump years. It's gonna take a while for that to go back to whatever the normal was. Now, the number one big change I think that we will see is the opening of government offices, including embassies and consulates worldwide. Many people have shared with us that in their country, everything is open except for the US consulate. Many believe this was due to the Trump administration deliberately encouraging them to remain closed. If you cannot get an interview, you can't get into the US, right? We anticipate that the State Department will be issuing a statement that normal processing will resume for immigrant and non-immigrant visas. I do not know if you remember, but USCIS used to have field offices throughout the world. Those were closed in March 2020. At the time, the administration said that the consulates and State Department employees would take over doing the work that these offices had done. Clearly, this was another way to slow or stop immigration. Since President Biden has said and has shown in the past that he supports increasing legal immigration, we think he will reopen these offices in addition to have the consulates reopen. I think this will be one of the changes that he makes relatively quickly. I also think relations will improve with many countries and get worse with others. What I mean is that the United States hasn't had a very good global reputation while Trump was in office. In fact, some of the immigration policies, such as family separations, caused the US to be found guilty of human rights violations. But there are also countries that have committed atrocities, like Russia, that seem to get a free pass by Trump. That will end. Biden has already started telling all foreign leaders what is expected of them in terms of ethical and humanitarian behavior while he's in office. Put aside for the moment that this is the President of the United States telling other leaders what they should or should not do. At the very least, it's us as the US saying, hey, these are things we're not going to be okay with, and there will be consequences if you do that. Some US citizens do not like the fact that President Biden is a career politician. What that means to me is that he knows how to treat people fairly and how to be diplomatic, but he also knows how to be firm and achieve the goals he has in unifying and strengthening the US. We have seen by the appointments he has already made throughout government that he knows people who are smart and savvy to government workings, and that they'll do their best to have the US move back to functioning and being the world power it can be. Remember how Trump had entered into agreements with several countries to keep asylum seekers in those countries while their applications were processed? Biden may end those agreements and find a way, as has happened in the past, for asylum seekers to enter the US during their processing. Whenever I say this, we get many comments from people on our channels saying that shouldn't happen, that they need to stay in their country. We disagree. This is America, and we are for legal immigration for everyone. And if you don't like it, too bad. This is America. We have the right of freedom of speech. I may not like what you have to say. I may not like what you stand for, but I will fight for your right to do so. Number 2, immigration processing will speed up here in the US. USCIS looks like it may be trying to move faster. I get it. I mean, it's hard to move slower. Not that I wanted to see it slower, but my God, it's crawling right now. I have already shared how some biometric appointments will be waived, meaning if you've already been fingerprinted digitally, there's no reason why USCIS has to call you back in and take your fingerprints again. All they have to do is run your fingerprints to the databases that they have. That's all that's necessary. They shouldn't even be charging the $85 to do that, but put that issue aside, at least let them process what they have. They have also said they're going to waive interviews for some applicants. I have said repeatedly that Trump has required everyone to be interviewed because it slows down the process. If you just had a trial in 1 year asylum and a year later you're filing for your green card, if your fingerprinting comes back normal, there's no reason why you need to be interviewed again. Simple. That's just one example of many. Another one could be parents applying for their children or children applying for their parents. USCIS can review, is it a formal, is it a certified proper birth certificate or passport? What more do you really need to prove that father is father or son is son? There's no reason to have an interview for that. Again, as long as there isn't something else that might make you ineligible. I expect that many resources will be shifted to speeding up the process while President Biden tries to get effective immigration reform going through Congress. A lot of money was put into deportation proceedings, ICE enforcement, and building the wall. I think that this money will be reallocated, at least some of it, to help employ more USCIS workers and to get more judges to reduce the immigration court caseloads. There will also be some measure of discretion given to judges, and those judges will have tools like administrative closure to be able to further reduce the pressure on the courts. There's no reason to keep a case coming back to court time and time again while something is being adjudicated, like a family-based petition or a special immigrant juvenile or a U visa. You can administratively close the case, take it off the active calendar. That's authority judges had, and they should have it again. Biden has also said they plan to hire more immigration judges. And I hope that he will remove the restrictions from immigration judges, like what I discussed, so that they can act independently and use their discretion on a case-by-case basis rather than having to meet quotas of how many cases they deny. President Biden has said his goal is to reduce the time to get to citizenship by half, from 13 to 8 years. Well, that's not actually half, but that is what he said. With this being a priority for this administration, I want to remind everyone that the sooner you get your application in, the better for you. When you send it in, it is like you are holding a place in line. USCIS processes applications in the order they are received. Only a very limited number of applications allow for premium or quicker processing, and this is only for employment-based applications, not family-based. So the best way to get your application through more quickly is to get to the head of the line and have an attorney submit it for you so that it is complete and has a strong legal argument to support you. That way you get approved as quickly as possible. Number 3, the public charge will go away, sort of. We know that President Biden is not a fan of this policy. Look, we all agree that legal immigration is the best way to enter the US, but we do not need a wealth requirement like the public charge was designed to create. As I've explained over and over, it's long been US policy, like since 1882, that immigrants who come here must be able to support themselves. That's the public charge at its basic level. That being said, there is a part of the public charge that not many people seem to talk about that is still going forward as a requirement that could have far-reaching impact on many applicants. Today, visa applicants have to show they can purchase health insurance before being approved. This is another obstacle that the Trump administration put in place to end immigration. The requirements for the health insurance are very high and very difficult to obtain before coming to the US. And then it's even harder when you get here if you don't have a social security number. I hope that President Biden freezes this requirement, or if they keep it in place, it is less financially restrictive. None of us want to travel and get sick, right? And no one, whether we are living here in the US or in another country, want people coming to the United States and then going to the hospital. That is happening more and more with COVID. So what I think should happen is we figure out a way that all of us can be healthy, safe, and get the care that we need. There has been a process with the affidavit of support in the green card stage that meets the requirement. I don't think we need to go as expansive as the Trump administration did as they defined the public charge. Number 4, security for DACA holders and TPS holders. Look, I want to say DACA holders will be able to apply for their green cards by the end of 2021. I don't think it's going to happen that fast. One reason is that many people, especially Republicans, are very anti-immigrant. Even when we post our videos, immigrants and citizens alike post hateful comments about how illegals should not be allowed to get legal status. Remember, most of the people here without status are working and paying taxes and contributing positively to the US economy and way of life. And by the way, you may not like it, but I was one of them. My family were legally immigrated to the United States and we overstayed our visa and we thereby became illegal. We lived that way for almost a decade until Amnesty saved us. Because of President Reagan, my family was able to get a green card, and I was able to become a US citizen, and I was able to go to college and law school, and now I'm here helping people like you. And for those of you that don't like it, too damn bad. President Biden has said that he would love to provide legal status for DACA holders and that he will review TPS statutes and try to establish a pathway to citizenship for them. I'd like to see President Biden put a plan in place that follows the Administrative Procedures Act for DACA, which neither Trump nor Obama did, so that those who are eligible for it aren't in fear every time there's a court case that this judge or that judge might change it, get rid of it, or do something else that's crazy. I'd also like to see it extended, because right now it only covers people who came here before June 15, 2007. And since that time, we know others have been brought here as children and would like to obtain some kind of legal status. Now, DACA isn't legal status, but at least there's some benefits. President Biden voted for bills like the DREAM Act and others to give legal status to the Dreamers when he was a senator. Vice President Harris has promised automatic green cards for DACA holders. I don't think anything is going to be automatic, but it's good to dream, right? At the very least, at least give them a pass so that they can apply. I think we will see improvement in what is in place, but it isn't clear if that will be through executive action or Congress passing laws. I'd much rather it be through Congress. But I am less hopeful that our senators and representatives can get their head out of their asses, and start doing what is good for the country, not good for them individually. Number 5, immigration reform. I've already spoken about some of the suggested reforms in this list. Speed up processing times, taking away the public charge, reviewing ICE and DHS processes, and finding a way for DACA holders and TPS recipients to obtain legal status are all parts of reforming the U.S. immigration system. Biden has also said he wants to increase visa numbers, recapture unused visas, eliminate the 3 and 10-year bars, and reunite families. Based on the rhetoric coming from the Republicans in Congress, it seems unlikely that what President Biden is proposing will pass, at least not entirely. He has also said he does not need a bill that includes every goal to go through. He's happy if parts of it are passed, so that may be how the goal is met, if he can't get parts passed that help most people while upsetting the least. Time will tell. One of the biggest parts that he has suggested is a path for citizenship for those 11 million undocumented aliens in the US. Under this plan, DACA, farm workers, and a few other groups would be eligible to apply for green cards immediately. After they have green card for 3 years, if they're paying taxes, pass a background check, they can apply for citizenship. Others who are currently in the US without legal status will need to meet certain criteria, apply for temporary status, have it for 5 years, and then apply for the green card. Once they have their green card for 3 years, they too would be able to file for citizenship. What does this mean for you and your immigration journey? I would say for the most part, it's good news. I agree that probably not everything Biden has suggested to change will be changed. As I have mentioned in other videos, I think it is important to get in line, meaning get your application in ASAP. Do not put it off any longer. If you have something in your past that makes you worried you will not be approved, get it taken care of now. Don't wait. Talk to an immigration attorney, have them look at your background like we do in our law firm to help you determine your next best step. We recently had a client from Nigeria who had multiple misdemeanors after getting her green card. Often for immigrants, this means your journey is ended. It's difficult to show you're a person of good moral character as needing to become a citizen, and you may even get deported depending on the severity and the variety of convictions you have. As a side note, if you get your green card, do everything you can to keep your record clean for at least 5 years and then apply for citizenship. Do not commit crimes during that time either so that you can become a citizen. Of course, I think you stay on the right side of the law even after you become a citizen. But if you do screw up, at least it's not going to affect your ability to stay in the United States. Let me tell you about a client who hired us in 2019. He was from Nigeria and he had these multiple misdemeanors. We do an extensive background check for our clients before sending in their application because we do not want any surprises so that you get the best chance of success. It took a while, but it was worth it. Let me tell you why in a minute. We filed her application for naturalization in January 2020. She had an interview with USCIS on November 9th, 2020. She had a brief scare because she was told at the interview that her case needed a second review because they wanted to make sure her arrest record was not an issue. We were not concerned because we had done the thorough background check and we had all the documents that they needed, and we could make a legal argument when we gave it to immigration that would support her being approved. We did a good job, and she became a US citizen December 17th, 2020. So within a month, within 5 weeks of her being interviewed saying, hey, we need a second review, they did not request more documents. They did not have to do anything else other than the officer needed to speak to a supervisor. Why? Because all of that information was provided before the appointment. When she went to the appointment, the officer had all the information he or she needed to make a decision, just needed the permission from a supervisor, and that is what happened. If you have had some problems with law since getting your green card, there may be hope. Call us. We'll see if we can help you. Thank you, everyone who watched us today. We really appreciate those comments, likes, and shares of our videos. We want to help 5,000 people in the next 5 years to obtain legal status, and this is one way we can reach more people. If you have an immigration issue, you need help with us, call us. As always, stay healthy and be well.